The CGA Tour, a podcast unlike any other. Now your host, Calvin Alexander.
Welcome back to the latest episode of the CGA Tour podcast. As always here, I'm your host, Calvin Glen Alexander. And there's something I want to get to today before I start the rest of the podcast. And one, it's anyone who's not a fan of Mike Boynton for a couple of reasons here. So the first being, Mike Boynton's a great guy. None of us are going to say anything different than that. But the second being, there's a Dakota Gregory tweet here. Dakota's a friend of the show, friend of the podcast, where he put out information stats, going back and forth with somebody on Twitter and kind of inspired this whole idea. Mike Boynton has coached for Oklahoma State now for 5 seasons. This is his 5th season. First season, 2017-2018. Oklahoma State went 21-15. FBI news broke. NCAA investigated. Had to bench a player. Did not make the tournament. 18-19. Oklahoma State went 12-20. We literally played guys that were found at the Colvin, who were shooting around at the Colvin and came in, right? Great time. Oh, and a football player who's a walk-on. And they played minutes in games. Like a walk-on, D. Mitchell, great story, played minutes. 2019-2020, 18-14, good chance at making the tournament berth, but the season was canceled after a Big 12 tournament win. And then you have the 2020-2021 season where we won several tournament games, the number 1 all draft pick, and went 21-9. So only one losing season so far under Boynton's tenure. Here's the main thing. In that 2019-2020 season, Travis Ford also went to the tournament, except for Oklahoma State couldn't because of COVID canceled the tournament, right? But if we're saying all in together that Boynton would have made the tournament 2 out of his first 4 years that count, because we can't make the tournament this year in Boynton's 5th year, then that's 50%. 50% of the time, Boynton's come in and been head the coach. Oklahoma State has made theoretically the tournament. I understand it's a little bit harder, but the year that Boynton went 18-14 and the year Travis Ford went 18-14, trust me here, I've looked it up. Boynton had a harder strength schedule. He did by like a whole 2 points. So it's valuable. It means something. It's different. Then I want to get into the fact a little bit that maybe as Oklahoma State fans, we were spoiled a little bit. Brad Underwood comes in. We sweep KU. We sweep KU. We sweep OU, right? Okay, great. But excuse me, that actually wasn't that year that we swept them. That's the year that we played Michigan in the tournament, lost by a little bit, and Underwood turned his back on the program and left the next day. So yeah, there was a lot of hype. Brad Underwood was great. We had the whole kind of deal with like the Netflix show kind of run of things with the Frank Underwood's deal with Brad Underwood, which now looks pretty rough, but glad Underwood's have both moved on. But Travis Ford with Oklahoma State was a head coach for 8 years, made the tournament 5 out of those 8 years, and had a career winning percentage at Oklahoma State of 58.3%. Did not deal with the guys getting suspended, with guys getting postseason bans, did not deal with guys who, granted, had other stuff going on where they were kicked off the team midseason. Also, he did not have 3 5-star players. I'm aware of that. But 2 of those 5-star players are on the team this year. We'll see how it turns out. Oklahoma State's 50-50 right now, 11-11 on the season. Not going to make the tournament because, of course, we can't. But last year, 1 5-star player, but the 5-star player in the whole entire league. I get it. All right. So you know what? Let's give Boynton his due. Last year, 21-9, win several tournament games. Should have won a couple more, probably. It is what it is. The main thing here is that when I draw comparisons for coaches, I go, okay, so has Boynton been spoiled with Travis Ford's coaching record versus his? Ford had a 58.3% win-loss percentage at Oklahoma State. Boynton, on the other hand, here has a, wait for it here. He has a 54%. 54% winning percentage at Oklahoma State. It's not that bad. It just really isn't. It looks bad. It sounds bad when you're comparing it to Ford. But when you put in the 12-20 season with all the other crap that happened in that season, the 18-14 season, put in this season is also included. We're 11-11. We can't make the postseason. Several games we've dropped we shouldn't have. Like Oakland game shouldn't have probably lost. The Texas Tech game probably shouldn't have lost. I mean, Iowa State game, K-State game at home, definitely, or K-State game away, definitely should have won that one. It is what it is, right? But maybe that's a little bit of just the guy's motivation at the end just didn't carry him through. Granted, the Bedlam game looked fantastic. Shout out to Musa Cisse for showing up. The key guy I want to draw comparisons to, though, is Scott Drew. Scott Drew has been an amazing coach. He's been a coach for Baylor since 03 to 04 is when he started that season. He's been a coach now for almost 20 years with Baylor. His overall career winning percentage at Baylor is 64%, 10 percentage points higher than Boynton's, and he's been head coach there for a while, so that makes sense. But for the strength of schedule, for the simple rating systems, for any other key metric you would look at, Boynton kills Scott Drew in the win-loss percentage for their first 5 years. In fact, for the first 10 years, he does. It's not even close. So if you want to say, hey, you know what? Boynton should be winning more. Boynton should be drawing more offensive plays. Boynton should utilize on the players more. There should be better offense. There should be this. There should be this. I'm curious at actually what you would say is what you would do. Because Scott Drew came into this Baylor program when he was not eligible for the conference tournament. His first season, they had a postseason ban. Then the next 3 seasons in a row, he didn't even get to be 500 team. In fact, he was happy if he was 500 any of those seasons. I mean, I'm sure that season he went 4-13 or 9-19. He's going, man, those 2 other seasons would have been helpful. It would have been better. And then Scott Drew starts the uptick. All right. His 5th season in, makes the tournament, goes 21-11, and then he starts kind of building some momentum from there. With Travis Ford, on the other hand, he made the tournament immediately. First 2 years, makes the tournament as the head coach for Oklahoma State. That's fantastic, but we know those weren't his recruits, really. Then he gets, 2 years where he doesn't make the tournament. 1 year is 20-14. 1 year he's under 500, 15-18. Then after that, a superstar, 6th overall draft pick, Marcus Smart. We've probably heard of him. He comes on to Oklahoma State's roster, and in back-to-back years, Oklahoma State makes the tournament and even finishes the season with AP ranked. So all this is to say, let's lay off Boynton. The Boynton hate can all catch me at the side, miss me with that crap. It's not happening. I'm a huge Boynton supporter at the end of the day. Nothing's going to change about that anytime soon. But if you want to hate Boynton, hate him for actual stuff that you've seen, because when you start looking into it, just like I have, I don't think you're going to find much. That being said here, got to bring in Jake Carlson to talk more about some Cowboy basketball, talk a little bit more about Oklahoma State, his success here on the court against Bedlam. Are we going to sweep OU this year? It's a chance. We could. How you doing, Jake?
I'm doing well. A lot of good points there. A lot of good stuff.
Thank you.
I wanted to add the 18 ranked wins as well. So he's currently averaging a little over 3 per year. And in the Big 12, we know we do play a lot of ranked games, first of all. But second of all, he's doing well in that category. So there are a couple little tidbits that I wanted to build off that Calvin brought up, or that you brought up, because we're not talking in third person here, that you brought up. So you brought up the Oakland loss, that 1-point loss. And then we lost to Wichita State. We lost to Xavier. We lost to Houston. Our USC game got canceled. So we lost 4 non-conference games. Shouldn't have lost to Oakland, but granted it was by 1 point. So take that for whatever it's worth. When we move into the Big 12 play, that first Tech game got postponed for COVID reasons and then got rescheduled in between it was like Texas, it's Texas, West Virginia, Texas Tech, then Baylor. It got scheduled on like Thursday, right? It was like a Thursday. We played like Saturday, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. I think it was something like that, where it was back to back frequently. So if you just look at those games, we lose to Kansas, and you and I will agree we're not as good as Kansas is this year. We're just not. I don't think we're as good as West Virginia, especially at West Virginia, and I don't think we're as good as Texas Tech. But that leaves us at 7 losses. Okay. The next 4 losses are the ones that I really want to focus on here. We beat Baylor. We beat TCU at home by 1. And then we go on a 4-game losing streak. That 4-game losing streak was, as most of us know, without Bryce Williams. And I've talked about this multiple times, but we lost by a total, those 4 games, by a total, I'm doing math real quick in my head, by 8, 11, 20 points.
Yeah.
Total of 20 points in 4 games. And people will be like, oh, Jake, that's 5 points. Okay, that's fine. Bryce Williams scores 12. Do I need to say
feel like
much
it make a
more?
difference? I mean,
feel like
everyone should feel like, oh wait, Bryce. Well, oh yeah, he is one of our best players.
he's our best
He has to
on-ball
be.
defender. He's our best on-ball defender. We know that. And if people want to tell me otherwise, you're wrong. He's our best on-ball defender. And coincidentally, I think we're like 1-5 this year without him, something like that. Which I would say, if we were 0-1, I'd be like, oh well, who do we play? We're like 1-5, 1-4. That's substantial evidence to say we are just not as good of a team without him. So those 4 losses: Texas by 5, Iowa State by 3 in overtime, at Florida, the game I was at where they shot a gazillion free throws, and then at Kansas State where we lost by 3 on a 7-second inbound play. And then we beat OU, coincidentally, when he comes back. And he didn't even play great. But that's kind of my point. I don't necessarily think that we are I think on paper we're a better team than OU.
Mm-hmm.
But Porter Moser is a better coach, and that's no disrespect to Mike Boynton. That's more praise for Porter Moser, just because we've seen what he's done in the tournament. And I think that's pretty indicative, the guys that he's able to get to play well. So they have a better coach. I don't think they have better players, but they do a lot of things really well. And I watched the entire game, and they do a lot of really good back cuts. They play really consistent offense, but they turn, and granted, most teams turn the ball over a lot. So at what point are we like, nah, that team turns the ball over, but they're also playing us. And we just force teams to turn the ball over. So that's ultimately why we won the game, just because we forced them to turn the ball over. Now, I don't think we haven't recorded since the Kansas State game, correct?
I don't think so. Well, we did record with Dre. We
recorded with Dre,
a
which
couple
will
days
be,
ago. That podcast is coming out today.
Yeah, and that'll be that's going at the end of this one, correct?
No, that podcast will be on its own.
Separate, okay.
Yeah.
Come
out today.
So yeah,
that'll come out before this. Will come out right before this recording, basically.
Gotcha. So that Kansas State game was really frustrating for a multitude of reasons. I thought we played pretty well for playing at Kansas State. And, if you guys listen to anything that I talk about, I'm always going to talk about free throws. Free throws that's not why they won the game, basically. It wasn't like we're playing Florida where they shoot 20 or whatever more than we did. They shot 3 more. They're at home. I mean, what are you going to do? They shot 3 more free throws at home. There were a couple of calls, and I think it boiled down to one thing. One of the refs actually got hurt in this game. Unsure as to what happened, but he got hurt. And they called a pretty egregious 10-second call on Avery Anderson, where he was coming very quickly downhill and was probably going to make the layup had the whistle not been blown, which I think would have put us up. There was that, which is just really frustrating from the get off. And then the second one is the inbound play where they actually scored the game-winning bucket. Moussa Cisse counts. I noticed this at the Florida game. He actually scream counts whenever he's guarding the inbounder. He got to 7. There were a lot of people that actually timed it on Twitter, So shout out to those people that timed it on Twitter, and it was 6 seconds. Now I know you're like, 5-second call, whatever. How often does that get called? You're right. But when that 5-second call just happens to be the game winning shot in a game where you only have 2 referees opposed to 3,
It matters.
it matters.
It matters.
And it matters especially when the 7-footer specimen of a man is scream counting.
He got to 8 as the ball's being passed in. That's just what I loved about the whole thing. Is that I called you up later because I didn't know it was him yelling into the mic. I thought it might be a fan yelling into a court mic.
Yeah.
And I said, "Yeah, dude, who was he? Did you even pick that up?" And you're like, "Yeah, it was Cisse. He was yelling it." I was like, "Oh, wait." So that almost to me is like, does the ref hate this dude? Does the ref just go, this guy's speeding up his count? Like whatever I'm trying to do, like if I'm trying to like work out and hold to a certain second count or just hold to whatever, I'm definitely counting faster than you would think.
Yeah.
Is the ref just like, hey, this guy's counting quicker, whatever? Because if I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that's probably 1 second when I said 5 numbers. It just was funny to me. I was like, really? That's what we're doing here. Okay. And 2 things to build off of what you just said. Porter Moser and Mike Boynton have both a 54% career winning percentage as coaches.
Yeah.
One is coached at Loyola Chicago and has done that for, this computer loads slowly, but 10 years. He coached at Loyola Chicago for 10 years. Went 26-5 his last year. His first year went 7-23. So it evened out. He's a great coach, no doubt about it. But, him and Boynton have the same career winning percentage. His Loyola Chicago win percentage is 57% even too. So it's not like incredible. He coached at like Little Rock in the Sun Belt Conference for 3 years, that's his best winning percentage, 60%. But still, it's just kind of like it's got to be a weird line to draw here and a weird comparison to make. But at the end of the day, like Porter Moser, great coach. He might be a better basketball coach overall than Boynton. But then again, he has coached 558 games as opposed to Boynton has coached 152. So
he is the tenure.
Boynton will catch up. But Boynton will get better over time, right?
He is the tenure. And, I've asked some people about this and I'm still unsure. A lot of people have told me no. And I value their opinions. Louisville has a head coaching position open right now, as we know. Chris Mack got fired. It would be Boynton has to be on the short list, right?
I would think. Okay, let's build it out. If you're an AD for any other college, right?
And
if you're the AD at St. Joe's and Boynton is let go from Oklahoma State, you're snatching him up quicker than you can say anything, right?
And for the record, we don't want him to leave.
For the record, we do not. But if you're going, I want Boynton gone because I want something new in, and there is a collective of people on Twitter who are replying every single time to the @OSUMBB, Twitter score whenever we don't win, and sometimes even when we do win, saying, Boynton's got to go. I just want to make sure everyone's understanding here that right now with this roster, with Bryce Bloom's missing 4 games, with a bunch of new guys in the team, bunch of switches around, with a point guard who you and I have talked our piece about Ike. He can just not shoot. I'm sorry. I would love that he could. He just can't shoot, right? Mm-hmm. All this stuff all together, we still have a better conference record than Iowa State, OU, and West Virginia. All 3 who are predicted to make the tournament from Joe Lunardi's last deal. The only teams not predicted to make the tournament in the Big 12 right now is Kansas State and Oklahoma State because we can't make it, and we're also 11-11, so I get it. But in Kansas State, who's 12-10, we have both of us have the 2 worst overall records, K-State and OSU. But you know what? Conference play, we're winning. We're winning the conference. Yeah. Boynton swept KU and OU his first year as head coach. First year.
Without his players.
With Jeffrey Carroll sitting 3 games. I mean, it's just Oklahoma State went 21-15. Mitchell Solomon diving on the floor to grab a loose ball over Trae Young and winning that game when Trae Young still put up like 50 is a memory
Yeah.
I'll just know. I'll go, I don't know if we would have done anything in the tournament. I don't know if we would have even won a game. But man, if people are holding the tournament against us, there are 2 years out of Boynton's first 4 that he's full. Like, this is his 5th season. So out of his first 4 years where I go, man, we should have gone to the tournament 3 out of those 4 years.
And
Definitely the first
granted,
year and the 3rd year for sure, but COVID canceled it.
yeah, and granted, like you said, he's only had 3 years where he's actually been able to go to the tournament. Out
Yeah.
of his 5 years, only 3. One got canceled for COVID, and then we have this year. And there's not much more that I can say about. I mean, Dick Vitale even said, "I don't understand how you put Oklahoma in and not Oklahoma State." Didn't we have wasn't it? We had
it's
a
a
better
superstar
record than them.
factor. Yeah,
Didn't we have a better
it's the
record?
Trae Young factor. It's the Trae Young. Yeah, it is. Yeah.
I think OU had won like 19 games that year, and we had won 21, and those 2 games were over OU, and we didn't get in. So that year is kind of a wash to me because it was clear that we got screwed. But regardless, yeah, leave the Mike Boynton criticism alone because at some point people are going to come calling, and we're not going to be very happy about it.
You and I are going to be throwing a fit, to say it nicely, right?
Yeah.
It'll be absurd. We'll be annoyed for sure, with good reason too.
We have, what is it? Is it TCU tonight?
Yeah, down in Fort Worth
today. Yeah, we have TCU today in Fort Worth. Again,
Saturday, West Virginia at home.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I feel like we should win today. But I mean, regardless, like, we're a good team that was hindered by the postseason stuff. Everybody knows it. So
and some injuries. I mean, Cisse missed a game, I believe, or 2 because of a family death in the family. Granted, he hasn't been like the greatest player ever, like I thought he might be, as a huge center that we really could have used last year. But
yeah, great against OU.
He showed out. That's the way. I mean, this is the Cisse prove it or lose it type of deal, maybe.
Yeah, I mean,
this is the game. Like, this is a game. Like, does he build momentum off of the OU game, or is that just a flash?
He just needs to dunk everything. That's where I'm
you've been
at.
saying that. I don't disagree. I think he wants to play like he didn't. Like, a lot of guys when they come into the league are when a lot of guys when they come into college basketball or they just are no longer like clearing away the best player on the court, have a hard time adjusting for sure. Like, we're talking about Musa Cisse, who played at Memphis and was defensive player of the conference or all defensive player first team.
Freshman defensive player of the year, I think. Something like that.
I mean, he's 6'10", and he's getting up to swat stuff off the top of the backboard.
Yeah. We have 8 games left. So I'm gonna read them off to you. At TCU, West Virginia at home, at KU, K-State at home, Baylor at home, at OU, at Iowa State, Texas Tech at home. What is our final record ending the season? We're 11-11, so makes it pretty simple math-wise. What is our record at the beginning or at the end of the season? Sorry.
All right. Well, so we know we can't make the Big 12 tournament even too. Just to throw that out there, which sucks. Man, if I'm being honest, I think we're 5-3. We go from here. I think we end the season one
wins
more
against TCU, West Virginia, Kansas State, and
I'm gonna say
OU and Iowa State.
OU or yeah. TCU, West Virginia, K-State, OU, and Iowa State. I just don't.
Okay.
Or we drop one and we pick up one crazy good win too. We got Baylor at home, which they're so good. I'm not going to pick us to beat Baylor. Texas Tech is also so good, and KU is also so good. I mean, all three of those teams currently in the AP rankings are like 8, 9, and 10. So for me to say, oh, we're going to beat two of those teams, or one of those teams, granted, two of them are at home. I don't think I'm not picking against us to beat them.
Right.
But tough to say for sure.
I would say we probably go 4-4. That's where I'm at. I think we go 4-4.
Yeah, I could definitely see that too. Are you saying like TCU? We beat TCU tonight, then beat K-State, but maybe not West Virginia, or maybe OU, or maybe Iowa State. Like one of these 5 games, I'm counting as a win. Is it possible? Like, because I'm with you right there. We're splitting hairs at this point.
I think we beat. I think it's West Virginia tonight. I think it's at TCU, West Virginia, K-State at home, and then either OU or Iowa State. I think the problem for OU, is it's such a we are a very bad matchup for them.
We are, which is incredibly good thing. Incredibly good.
Which is, we're not complaining, but we are just such a bad matchup for them where it's like our guards are better than them, our big men are better than them.
Mm-hmm.
And that is just extremely inconvenient for them. Not for us, but for them, it sucks. So that's kind of, that's where I'm at with that. But all in all, like it's more just irritating that we have to be in this position in the first place where it's like we kind of get to care, but we don't really get to care.
Yeah.
So that's kind of, do we have any bold March Madness picks? If you had to pick a Final Four right now, what would it be?
Oh God.
Without even seeing a bracket, just based on who you've seen play.
I only really watch Big 12 basketball. That's what sucks about me, to be honest.
Yeah.
So but at this point, I would say Arizona.
It's a good one.
I have a hard time picking which 2 out of the 3 in the Big 12, but of like the Baylor, KU, and Tech.
I've actually got Tech.
So you got Tech out of those 3?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because March is just you're spitballing, right? Like March is like darts that just I don't know.
I just don't even. Yeah. So okay, but you're asking here. I mean, I think it's a fair question. I'll say I'll stick with Arizona. Arizona. I'm gonna say Baylor. I'm gonna say Scott Drew. Put a lot of stock in Scott Drew. Then I'm gonna say Auburn and Gonzaga. I know I'm going like cheaping out like 1, 2 in the rankings, but Auburn, Gonzaga, like there's.
Yeah, I have Auburn, Gonzaga, Tech, and it's probably either Arizona or Duke, because it wouldn't surprise. I don't think Duke is very good. I watched them. I watched that entire game last night, and I mean, go pull up the box score if you want to know why they were in the basketball game. I think they shot like 22 free throws to Virginia's 9. And it was a 1-point game. So, when they're playing at Cameron Indoor in Coach K's last season. So, that's going to happen. But yeah, I think they might try and like shoe in Duke and just give them an absolute cakewalk into the Final Four. Because like if Duke's not a number 1 seed, if they're a 2 seed, who's the 1 seed that they could give them to where wouldn't
Gonzaga?
Yeah.
We saw that last year. I mean,
Yeah.
Banchero versus Chet Holmgren, like, if those matchups happen, like, I'm taking
Yeah.
Banchero. I'm taking some physical dude. Holmgren's been great. He can shoot the crap out of the ball for being as tall as he is. He's an athletic, crazy guy, but I'm taking the more physical, athletic dude in comparison
And
there.
the other team we're forgetting about is Purdue, who's also very good. But
I think they are, but a
I
Big
don't.
Ten team making it really far in the tournament,
It's honestly impressive how bad a lot of the college basketball conferences are this year. Like
well,
the big,
like Illinois was like the team last year, or Michigan, and then nothing.
well, Illinois is ranked 13th. They actually play Purdue tonight, which I will be tuned in for. So that's going to be an interesting game. Uh, but it's I don't know. I think this tournament's going to be very fun because while Auburn has almost seemed to separate themselves, I don't think that they've necessarily like done it to the extent that I mean they've wowed me, but I don't know if other people feel the same way.
Yeah,
So
yeah. I
kind
I
of
think Auburn's pretty darn good. I think it's always going to be weird how Bruce Pearl immediately comes to a new school and then they're like really good out of nowhere. But NIL deals are a thing now. Like, real quick, did you hear the Jimbo Fisher interview where he's like, I don't know what you're talking about. There's no way that we had the best recruiting class ever in our history just because of the NIL deals. If you look at every single year before then, Jimbo Fisher's been head coach at A&M, and they've never had this many. Like, there's never been this many
Jimbo
five
Fisher
stars
is
on a team ever.
he's a hypocrite.
Oh,
He's like
but
the definition of a hypocrite.
so you and I both listen to the Rosillo podcast every so often.
Hmm.
I frequently listen. I think you do every so often. And he had on Austin Rivers in one of the latest episodes. Shout out, we're born the same day of the year, not the same year. He's 1 year older than me. But during that episode, started out, um, or during the episode, excuse me, Russell's interviewing a college football guy. I'm taking too long to say this, but basically he makes the joke of like Jimbo Fisher just doesn't know it's cool now to say, yeah, that's what yeah.
Yeah.
Like the Texas article that came out, you and I both talked about this when they are paying their linemen now like $50,000 a year for NIL deals. That's what Texas linemen are getting $50,000 a year NIL deals to come.
Yeah.
That should be like the article that leads for a lot of schools. Now,
Yeah.
granted, it doesn't sound great when your head coach is out there probably just going like, "Yeah, you know what? He got an NIL deal. He got an NIL deal. I'm not that valuable because I didn't do that much recruiting because they're just getting paid." But you can also go, listen, there's something that has to orchestrate all this all together, and getting them here to the school, getting them here on campus, and getting them around these guys definitely opens up way more possibilities than they thought would happen. So, sorry, 2, 3, 5 minute tangent, but still, it's kind of NIL deals are going to keep changing the world of college basketball.
Yeah.
It'll be fun.
I don't know. There are a couple other hot button issues, not including Alvin Kamara, that I wanted to get to.
Oh,
Kyler Murray is. Are we predicting him getting traded?
no.
You think he's just cleaning out his Instagram? I guess because people buy into that.
All right, it's a weird move to unfollow everyone on social media. Basically, I mean, what's the exact things he did here though? So I want to be. I don't know that, to be honest. I just
I
heard he
guess
unfollowed the Cardinals.
he unfollowed the Cardinals and took down all of his pictures.
Okay.
How quickly is Cliff Kingsbury the quality control coach at USC?
2, 3 seasons. The Cardinals made the playoffs last year. Like, what are we doing?
It's gonna happen. Like
It will,
Cliff
but like,
Kingsbury, he'll win the division, get fired, and then get hired at USC immediately.
yeah, probably. I don't see why not. I mean, I mean, is Lincoln Riley really going to hire them though? Because
I bet he
he
would.
was the USC offensive coordinator with a different head coach
Yeah,
at USC, but not with Lincoln Riley.
I feel like
Kyler
he
Murray
would.
but is Kyler Murray going to go play baseball for the Oakland A's?
People think that Kyler Murray's getting traded to like Miami or Tampa Bay.
What? I mean, that's just the dumbest thing you could ever do if you're the Cardinals. Cardinals
I
are in
agree.
win now mode. They have J.J. Watt. They have Hopkins. They have Murray. They have They have A.J. Green, who former Bengal until
But
this
if you're
season.
but if you're Kyler Murray, you would want to get traded to Tampa Bay, right?
For sure. I wouldn't want Cliff Kingsbury as my head coach. I wouldn't want my head coach to's last job before becoming an NFL head coach be he got fired for working at a middle of the pack Big 12 school, lower of the pack Big 12 school
Yeah.
in football. Like if Cliff Kingsbury is known for being like a good looking, well dressed guy who recruited a bunch of quarterbacks to come to his school but couldn't do anything with them because they couldn't play defense. Because like Patrick Mahomes has said in multiple different interviews, well, yeah, I just knew I had to take chances because I knew if we gave them the ball back, I knew if we gave them the ball back, they were gonna score. It wasn't like our defense was gonna be able to stop them. We had guys on defense, he said all his P's, like love them, whatever else. But he's like, I knew they were gonna score. I knew OU, I knew OSU, I knew Texas, I knew whoever. Like if we give the ball back to them, they're gonna score. So I gotta take bigger chances, bigger risks. And that just goes to show you, like, Cliff Kingsbury knows one side of the ball really, really well.
Mhm.
But I mean, I'm just not going to put a ton of stock in like Kyler Murray just being having a little. I don't want to say prima donna thing, but like, I mean, January 2nd, he tweeted, starting 2022 off right, my guys with Arizona Cardinals. He hasn't deleted that tweet, so I don't know. He's got a lot of stuff about OU on his Twitter page, and I'm sure on his
Mhm.
Instagram too, which is funny to me because he played there for 1 year. I mean, technically 2, but he started for 1 year. He won the Heisman Trophy. I've got nothing against Kyler. You and I both said that. But
Yeah.
if he's trying to force his way to a different team, you're going to lose the locker room. You're going to lose,
Yeah.
whatever. And his team's not bad. If he thinks that it's not, he's got to look inward in this
Mhm.
situation, right?
Right.
I mean, I'm trying to look up Kyler Murray like Pro Bowl stats because basically he threw like a pretty bad pick in the Pro Bowl that last time I remember no one really cares that much about. And
I definitely don't, but
right. And it just doesn't matter that much, and that's it. So I mean, what's he gonna go to the Eagles? The Eagles have enough assets. They have 3 first-round draft picks this year. They could go grab Kyler, I bet.
I
But there's no way the Cardinals should even take that offer because he
am I crazy in thinking that Jalen Hurts is adequate enough to start in the NFL?
I don't think you're crazy at all. We talked about this a little bit with Dre. If Tyler Heineke's starting at quarterback or Jalen Hurts starting at quarterback, who are you taking?
Jalen Hurts.
Easily, right? And I don't think that anyone's saying gotta get rid of Heineke tomorrow. I don't see
No.
the Washington Commanders getting any, if anyone saw my eyes there, sorry. But I don't see the Washington Commanders doing anything different. And also, the headline for Arizona sports is that Cardinals quarterback Kyler Murray tosses 3 touchdown passes in Pro Bowl. And then the next day he unfollows all the Cardinal stuff or whatever. So, I mean, it's just whatever.
Slow
Whatever.
news day. Slow news day.
Whatever. Pro Bowl week has just not been super exciting because of whatever reason. No one's popped off with a quote or an interview
Yeah.
or something like that that's broken the internet yet. So it's what it is. I'm just not putting much stock into it.
Yeah.
What Kyler wants to be traded for Dak, throw to his buddy CD Lamb, who is also an OU guy. Like, what are we doing?
I'm just saying I am on the market for pro football teams. It has nothing to do with changing the commander's name. It has everything to do with um, I can't watch them. So
Well, also you're not going to live that close to them anymore either.
I'm not going to live that close to
You've
them.
got to move coming up
And
here this year. So
as much as I can be a Washington football team fan, I refuse to go to that dumpster fire of a stadium. So yeah, I will be future on the market. So we'll see. We'll see where I'm at next year with pro football. I do vividly remember saying it about like week 8 or so that I was jumping on the Bengals bandwagon. I have the receipts, so if anybody wants them, I can give them to you. So I will be rooting for the Bengals, but I don't know if the Bengals will be my free agent destination as an NFL fan. I will also probably be on the market for both NFL and NBA very soon because I can. I'll still root for the Wizards. I haven't watched one single Wizards game this year, to be honest.
Okay.
None of them are on national television. Obviously, I live in Atlanta. Actually, wait, have I seen a Wizards game this year? I actually, the only Wizards game I've seen this year is in person.
Hmm.
Diana took me to a Wizards game. So that was the only one. They lost, of course. So yeah, I will be I don't know, but might be slim pickings out there on the West Coast for basketball teams.
Yeah, I don't see becoming a Lakers or Clippers fan at all,
Absolutely
or
not.
Warriors or Kings fan either.
You
I don't
know,
know. You might go Suns. Suns will be
I
closest to
was
you.
I was gonna say,
Then
the other team
but then
that
you're a Chris Paul fan, so I don't know how that's gonna work
I
out
don't
for you.
have to. I don't have. I
Are
can
you
get a
Devin Booker fan?
Mikal Bridges.
Fair.
Big Mikal Bridges fan. I feel bad for him because his own mother's team traded him. So and I also really like him. I like a lot of the Suns players, and they're on TV all the time because they're good now. So that's fun. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see what next year holds for my free agency. If anybody wants to
Submit some bids.
submit some bids. I will take literally pennies to root for your team as long as it's not any team in Philadelphia.
Thunder, Oklahoma City Thunder. Pushing all my chips in. Flag is behind me here. I got a couple pennies on the desk here, loose. Just lying around.
I would like them to be in playoff contention.
I found a quarter. I got a quarter.
I would like them to be in playoff contention.
Wow, 2 quarters, Jake. Anyways, I mean, we'll see. It's a fun topic going into the next NBA season. Maybe Pelicans, CJ McCollum, a bunch of other trade news coming on with them.
Yeah, that's pretty fun. Does a team move to Vegas in the next 5 years?
Are you asking, does it actually happen or should it happen? Because it should happen. But
It should happen.
I don't think it does. I don't think so.
You don't think an NBA team moves to Vegas in 5 years?
No, I think an expansion team for Vegas and Seattle is the next thing's coming.
So Memphis can finally be in the Eastern Conference where they should be. They can finally move Memphis and New Orleans to the Eastern Conference. I know, crazy idea.
Memphis is in the Northwest Division, I believe.
Yeah,
actually, I need to look this up. I don't think they are anymore, and the divisions really don't matter at all in basketball at all anymore.
But it matters for travel. Weren't they in the same division with the Thunder? Because it was like Utah and Sacramento.
Yeah, they're not though. The Northwest Division is Minnesota, Utah, Portland, Denver, and Oklahoma City.
That's dumb. That's dumb because Oklahoma City should obviously be in a division with Houston, San Antonio, Dallas. Call me crazy, but I might be onto something here.
That's where Memphis leaves. Oklahoma City switches. Then you got Seattle going back playing Portland a bunch, whatever. And you're
easy. I would love to see the NBA expand, mostly because I just think an expansion draft would be really fun, just in general. So I would like to see those 2 cities get an NBA franchise very soon. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at.
I would as well. I'd love to see those 2 cities get NBA franchises. I don't necessarily think Seattle should not have basketball.
Yeah.
And I'm more than happy that we have the Thunder and it moved and it worked out the way it did. But then again, not saying it's the best way it should have happened. What do you make about this and I think it's finalized here. The Indiana Pacers. I mean, they're making some moves here. So they have Sabonis going to the Kings, and they've got Tyrese Halliburton, Buddy Hield coming back to Indiana.
Yeah, that is doesn't make very much sense. It appears that the Kings don't care about being good. That's kind of where I'm at with it. I have no issues with Sabonis, but I never in a million years do I think that I would trade Sabonis for Buddy Hield and Halliburton, especially when you just drafted Halliburton and he's doing really well. I don't know. I mean, choosing to trade Halliburton as probably the centerpiece of that trade over Fox or Davion Mitchell is just bizarre to me. It doesn't make very much sense.
And it won't make much sense. Sacramento dug themselves into this. They can definitely dig themselves right back out, in my opinion. Of like, they have 3 guards who all technically play the same position. Right? They have De'Aaron Fox, who they signed to a massive deal, who it seems like doesn't really have much trade value because of how big his deal is and that he can't really shoot that well at all. And they have Davion Mitchell, who point guard, undersized point guard.
Yeah.
But what it is. It all just works out. Like you could have picked the best out of the 3 and then had that guy, kept that guy, moved on. But instead of letting that play out and seeing the future, it's like, let's get Sabonis this year and swing for the fences. When it should this should have been a Kings trade, Marvin Bagley and Buddy Hield for some future assets for next year and move on.
Yeah, I agree.
So, well, Jake, you know what? Great podcast as always. Thanks so much for having me on. Or excuse me, joining me. Of course. I had you on. Yeah. Either way. That being said, here there are 3 podcasts. Maybe a 4th bonus episode of me really ranting about Boynton, but I doubt that one ever see the light of day. But 3 podcasts coming out here, maybe today/tomorrow. So please follow for more information at the CGA Tour on Twitter and Instagram for more. And we'll catch you guys again soon. Peace.
See ya.